Hi guys, welcome to this Microsoft Excel module. In this session, I want to look at data validation. So what I have already set up are some examples of data validation. First one is over to the left. If I scroll to the left, in column A, I have a list here, which is basically a list of these codes that you must select from this list to get the relevant information in your invoice. This is an example of an invoice. If you type something in this list that is not there, you get an error message, which I've typed, "You biff, can't you read?" or some other abuse that you want to give somebody, or if you're PC, something PC. Cancel that one off. So that's the basic one. Now, how have I created that? Now, over here, I've got the same sort of thing, but it's a course, a list of courses. I can select a course, and again, if I select anything other than a course in this list, it will come up with an error message. So data validation is a great feature, and it's something I recommend everybody has in their spreadsheets, especially if you've got multiple users inputting data, because we're all prone to typos. Now this one here says number range. I must enter a number between 1 and 100. So if I type 123, I should get the error message coming up. Only a number between 1 and 100. Okay. This one is a date range, and the date range is set between the 1st of April 2012 and the 31st of March 13. So if I put today's date in there, which is a key command I've just used there, control and semicolon, that should generate the error message. So if you're using Excel for any financial inputting of data that has to be done between a calendar year or a fiscal year, this is a great feature. And then you can just pull that down so the whole column has this data validation set. And then the last one is basically a formula that just says this number in this cell has to be greater than 100, and if you put anything less than that, it comes up with the error message. Now this one is set up, this little green table is set up to avoid duplicates. So I can only type 1 once and 2 once. So if I type 1 again, comes up with an error message. If I type 2, comes up with an error message. And then this red table, I can only type text. So if I type a letter, that's okay. If I type a number, that is not okay. So this is set up just to receive text. Now I could obviously highlight a larger area than that. So let's have a go at doing each one of these, and I'll just sit in the cell next to it and we'll create this one. So the data validation feature is on the data tab. Data validation, this is the box. So the first option I want to do is the list. So here are your options. So there's the list option. Now I'll quickly show you a couple of other ways of doing this than the way I showed you initially. First of all, I could just type 1, 2, 3. I'll click OK for that for a second, and that will give you a quick list like that if you wanted to do that sort of thing. And I could also, if I delete that, I could just highlight a list, which is probably what I did initially, and click OK, and then that list will be there. But the list I want is on a different sheet. So what I've done is I've called the list courses. So I've just got to put in there equals courses. Click OK, and then you drop that down and it's a list of courses. Now courses is on this sheet, this little list here. It's called courses. So if you name a list, and you name list, just to recap that, you basically highlight it and then type in there, make sure you press enter. That's how you name it, a quick way of naming it. If you name a list, you can just refer to it from any sheet like that. Now the error message that comes up, you set from in here as well. So if I select input message title, I can just put select from list, and then message can be only these courses can be used, or something like that. And then the error message, this is what's going to come up if they make a mistake. Only these courses, check spelling, or something like that. Okay, so that's the first bit. Look, and then if I type, of course, if I type word wrong, so word, check spelling because it's a mistake. Now you can actually type in the items that's in the list. So if I wanted to type in word 1, it should let me, but I typed that in, and you can see that it's because it's in the list, it did allow me to do that. Now this one is a number range, so again, data validation number, so normally it's on any value. So I've selected whole number, and then what I'm selecting here is between 1 and 100, and then OK to that. So if I type in 2, that should be OK. If I type in 2, 3, 4, that should not be OK. And again, you would maybe edit the other information, the input message and the error value and stuff like that. This one is a date range. Now I'll click, I think I've still got that one from previously, so I'll just click down a cell so it's not there. So data validation. So you want this to be date, and again you've got between, but other options as well. But for this I want the date range to be from the 1st of the 1st 19 to the 1st of the 1st 20. And then if you're in the US, you use the US date ranges. Click OK to that, and then again if I put today's date in there, I should get an error message because that is not within the range. And then this one, if I click on this one, this is a simple thing. Formula option, so custom, and then you can do a formula. So if I say, what's this, I16 it's got to be greater than 100, say, and then you put number less than 100 and you get the error message. You put more than 100 and it's okay. Now the green option over here, this is a great one. This stops duplicate entries, and we're going to use a Countif function on this one. So if I go into this one, you can see the Countif function. So what I've set there is Countif M1, which is the top left hand corner, down to N10, which is the bottom left hand right hand corner. Now the way the Countif works is you select the first cell, so you count in the first cell, M1. If M1 equals 1, that's okay. So if it doesn't equal 1, the data validation is going to kick in and it's going to come up with the error message. Now this is a little trick because Excel, even though that M1 is a top left hand cell, because we've highlighted everything and $signed it, it will trick it to thinking any active cell only can have one entry of that type. So it can only have one number 1, one number 2, one number 3, and so on. Click OK to that, put a 2 in there, it's not having it. And then that's your message. The red one is slightly a little bit more simpler than that. It's because you just have to do a simple formula here. Is text, and it's going to be true or false. That returns is text returns true or false. So if it's false, it's going to trigger the input message. There isn't one, but if there was one, or the error alert, it's triggered the error alert. Sorry, not the input message. So again, if I type a number, it won't have it. If I type a letter, it will have it. So that is a very, very quick overview of some examples of data validation. As I've already said, I recommend it is in all your spreadsheets where multiple users are there. It also, you can drag this down, like I said before, so it would be available to every cell, obviously not the color. You'd want that for the whole column, and anything you put in like these date ranges, you'd want to pull those down as well for the whole column. If you're doing this type of thing, you need to select the whole spreadsheet, and same with that one if you wanted to do that. I've already got another video which talks about linked list, so I'll leave that one for you to have a look at later on. But for now, that's it for today. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you on the next one.